So in general, we know that media consumption habits are shifting. I think in upcoming years, and I'll be very interested to see how things ultimately end up in this election, I think we are going to see more of that gravitational pull from political investing more dollars into these digital tactics. I think, again, it's going to follow the flow of the everyday advertiser, because that's where the media consumption habits, that's where they're going. So if you want to get in front of these people, that is where you need to be. I do think that at the end of the day, at least in this general election, broadcast TV will still be king, like Drew said. But I do think that we will see that jump in digital spend magnify as these elections continue.
I think, Amanda, you're 100% correct, because we're seeing that there's a finite number of commercials on the broadcast TV stations. So as they look for alternative avenues to get their message out more frequently, they're going to look towards their connected devices.
And I think in general, consumers probably don't love political advertising. I think, we all kind of have made a comment. So they're ultimately trying to get away from kind of being inundated with all of these kind of types of messaging, and the politicians and candidates and issues and PACs will continue to follow the consumers where they go. But I think naturally consumers will kind of always seek out those platforms where there isn't as much of political advertising. And if they stay, I think they'll naturally if they stay on those platforms, they'll naturally probably tune out some of these advertising. And I think that kind of goes back to, I think you made the point earlier of how are you as an advertiser in a business that's not politically focused, how are you cutting through the political advertising? If you're kind of bookended by political advertisements, how are you capturing someone's attention and kind of getting them to tune into your business's message, your why buys, rather than sort of, taking that bathroom break or zoning out and looking at your phone in the middle of, whatever TV show you might be watching.
Absolutely. And I think there's a lot of businesses that use, we've been saying it for years, to be social on social platforms, be whatever the audience is looking for when they go to the platform, whether it be, like a Spotify or some of these other mediums that we've talked about, to cater your content to the audience. But oftentimes I'm still seeing the same ad on all these platforms because it's one video that they have to produce. But the other thing I'm seeing that's really popular on TikTok, well, my side of TikTok, I guess, and I would love to get your thoughts from each of you. Just, do you find that people are using a video for that particular medium that doesn't need to be recreated every other day, that it doesn't need to be redone in the following month, or created to be seasonal? It can be a little bit more evergreen and used over and over again. And is that just me that's seeing all these companies do that?
No,
it's interesting.
It's just you.
Yeah, but you would think that wouldn't necessarily fit on TikTok. But I agree. I think we are seeing more and more of that. And I think TikTok being such a quick kind of ADHD type platform in some ways, where you see a video and you might not remember it 5 minutes later. And I guess that's probably the effectiveness of that kind of frequency of video, is that, when you are driving a political message, like driving up that frequency, just as we see in other video mediums, like that's, you can't just show an advertisement once and expect for it to land. It's having that impact by continuously getting in front and showing, that message repeated times to make sure it hits home with your target audience.
So leaning into the idea, then, get something creative for that medium. And if the time and the energy and the money is the concern, don't worry about it as much. You can continue to use that a little bit longer than you would your broadcast type of video production. And it doesn't even need to be that well produced on those platforms. I think that almost turns you off when you're on those platforms. And I can't speak to all of them. I keep trying, but there are some platforms I'm like, how are people on here? I don't get it. But so you can kind of reuse just to dive into a little bit of the strategy piece.